Soldier Crew, and we are here for another Sunday evening with you. Your host this evening is glad that he can see that we are still here. We are healthy. We are alive and free. All right. And your host is Dr. Joseph E. Marshall Jr.
The emphasis is on C, huh? The emphasis is on C.
Oh,
Good
I'm getting tickled.
evening, street soldiers, wherever you are, all around the globe. Can I say that all around the globe? Thank you very much for joining us this evening. The one, the only, the original Stop the Violence Show, playing a little music, saving a lot of lives, all to make it good in your neighborhood. And that's what we do. That's what we do. We on point duty every Sunday night right here on the KML Airways, the iHeart Airways, and the YouTube Airways, and the podcast. Right, we're on all places, Ann?
That's
Yeah,
right. And if
right.
you ever question where we are, you can head on over to stayaliveandfree.org. And right now we are on YouTube Live at Stay Alive and Free.
Okay, all right. Let me switch mics. Go around here, and you can have this mic. I think I can have this mic if it stays up. Is it good? Is it good? It's all good. Everything. Everything. Mike one is on mic.
Mike.
What's up, Mike? How you doing,
Hello,
brother?
hello.
Hello. I hear you, brother.
Yeah, man.
You gonna say
We had
hi?
a lot of fun today.
Did you?
Yeah, been on the radio.
What you do?
This man just interacting with the people, man. There's a lot of great people in the Bay Area that watch they back, and so it's just always good look. It's always lovely.
Okay, good.
All the birthday people and stuff.
They love you, man. You got big fans, man.
The people do look out for me.
And
I do have a lot of love in these streets. I will not lie about that. So do you.
praise the Lord.
So the street soldiers.
Well, good folks do good things.
Oh
Get
yeah.
good love. Get
You
good
get a
love.
lot of love in the mean streets of Benicia.
Take, take
Hey.
the love wherever it come from.
That's right. That is so true.
I got a wonderful show for you tonight. A last show of Women's History Month. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. As soon as we get the little chatter out the way and a little news out the way. A fabulous show tonight to wrap up. It's been an amazing month. Amazing month it always is. But I gotta tell you, first of all, I gotta get the Final Fours out the way. To find a men's Final Four set. Okay, those of you who into college basketball, the first time in I don't know maybe a number of years. I think 08 or 09 that all four number one seeds. Not that means to you non-basketball people don't mean anything. Are in.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, the two ladies slots will be filled and Final Four will be filled. So it'd be if you're a hooper, men or women's, it's a good time of the year.
Yes.
Good time of the year. Good time of the year. Of course, the NBA playoffs are around the corner.
Mhm. The Warriors won. The Warriors won. Giants won.
Warriors won. Yeah, it's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight. But we're gonna get to that. We'll get to that down the road. Playoffs not here. We'll stick with that. Guess what I watched this? What have I been watching the last 2 weekends?
Wrestling.
Now,
Average Joe.
no.
Um,
No. The
Get Out
last
part.
week, I bumped
The
into.
Office.
I bumped into Get Out like twice.
the movie Get Out.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's really, it's one time to watch it once again, like I saw it in the theaters, right? And then I saw it again, and I saw it again. I didn't see, but I'll tell you what I did watch.
What's that?
Man, the original Kings of Comedy, man.
Oh wow.
That
Oh,
look,
that's a classic.
I thought you were gonna say Superfly.
no, that thing is.
Lotus?
Wait a minute, that thing is 25 years old.
It's 25 years old.
It's like done in 2000, and it was. I couldn't stop, man.
Can I tell you something that is crazy?
Yeah,
That's very crazy.
yeah.
But something that's very crazier.
I ain't finished with mine yet.
I'm sorry.
All right, wait. So out of so you there? Which comics do you? I mean, look. I mean,
My favorite comedy.
out of the four that night, was Steve
Probably
Harvey and
Bernie.
Cedric Entertainer.
It really wasn't Steve. Steve was more so hosting.
No, Steve.
But he did a set.
Stop.
No.
Don't do that, man.
Oh.
Steve led off.
He was in fourth. place for sure.
DL Hughley came second. Cedric Jenner came third, and they wrapped it up with Bernie Mac. And I'm gonna tell you, just made me miss Bernie Mac all over again, man. He went way too soon. He was hysterical. He was hilarious. He was crazy. The weakest of the four, not to knock you because I know you deal, but you, I mean, you wouldn't, I mean, that was amazing. Anybody who saw that, now that's, I ain't a big comedy show guy. I don't go, but
Not-
that is one I would have been at.
Love to laugh.
I would have been at that one. So you remember that? Oh man.
Everybody
Woo.
remembers that one.
Oh my Lord.
What's your
If
favorite?
I'm not
comedy
mistaken,
show?
that's the biggest grossing, comedy tour of all time still.
Oh,
Wow.
I don't know, but maybe we'll,
Yeah,
we'll
yes.
Google it.
no.
It was for a minute,
For
but
sure.
Yeah, I think
Stop.
Sally Field or Kevin Hart took over.
No, man. That's one.
yeah,
dude.
maybe not anymore. You're right about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
But I always thought Cedric stole the show. But that's
Cedric
just me.
was
Everybody
a-
likes who they like.
that's the one I got into more last night than anybody. That boy is like, he's brilliant. He's a genius, man. He's a genius. Anyway, that's what I watched. So I'm feeling good. Last night, 2:00 in the morning, watching Original Kings of Comedy. Lady, did you see that? Did you see that, lady? No, you didn't see. Well, you need to get seriously. That's like, it's on TV or one of them 50,000 streaming stations we got now. You should do it. You like to laugh, lady. You love it. You want to say something? Just unmute yourself and say something. Oh, you don't want to talk tonight, huh? Okay. All right, couple of news items, not many. Oh, next week. All right, I'm gonna do the Trump report card show pretty much next week. I just got to get my mind around doing a bunch of negativity. Got to do it. You know how you have quarter system in college. So
Been a while, but yes.
yeah, you have a quarter system. Yeah, you have a semester quarter system. We gonna do the quarter system. We do a quarterly report, give them grades. If it's 3 Fs, it's 3 Fs. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, got to do it. Can't ignore it. Gonna try it. Gonna really try and do it next Sunday on the show. And what else I got? Nothing really.
Malcolm,
Oh yeah. Well, so got flair.
you can see it on YouTube right now.
So,
Yeah, because people listening cannot see it.
so got flair. So
What you,
got-
just a little Basquiat, ain't nothing.
yeah. Just
The
a
Little
top
little
10
what?
highest grossing comedy tours. Original Kings of Comedy is
Wow.
number 2
Ooh, see?
to Raw. But see, they're not talking about they're talking about the highest grossing. So if you just doing touring, it's probably the Original Kings of
Mm.
Comedy.
Great.
Pretty
Spike Lee
good.
produced. Spike Lee produced and directed.
Did watch
It's fabulous.
Yeah,
The right thing recently. That was interesting. Yeah.
great movie.
Great
So
movie.
basically, Mike, you saying I was right. That's basically what
Yes.
you're saying.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
All right. We got a lot. We really got a wonderful show tonight, and I'm not gonna.
You're not talking about Trump?
next week, man. I don't want to mess. Because I'm happy tonight. We got a wonderful show tonight. We got great people tonight. Got
I
great
see.
topic tonight.
Okay.
Therefore, forget him. I almost
Forget
said a
Trump.
bad word on the air,
I know. I'm trying to make you, okay? I was trying to bait you into it, but
but not tonight. Okay,
Okay.
tonight we are going to celebrate the remarkable 688. And we're doing this for a number of reasons. One, we can celebrate every. No, first of all, it is the last show of Women's History Month, and like I said, and you know that we've had wonderful shows. The Freedom Braiders was a fabulous show, right? The women going into jail. Oh man, it was fabulous. Freedom Braiders. We did our Save Our Sister show on domestic violence this month, and we'll call this one tonight. Salute to sisters. And in anticipation of the 688 finally receiving their congressional gold medals, I believe it's April 29th. We'll hear more about that. We're gonna do it tonight because it's just what can I say? And we're doing it with a special group of people. We have with us tonight several descendants of the women who served in the 688.
wow.
And they're going to be talking about their loved ones and what they know about them and all of that. And, this is just, I can't think of any better group to talk about. And I'm going to tell you about this group. I ain't gonna, they won't even say this, but all of us got T-shirts with our loved ones named on them. I see that shit right now. I got one. Everybody got look. Everybody look. But let me just say this. And for those that don't know the story, the most remarkable thing about this group to me is there were no big eyes and no little you. They were a unit. What they accomplished was as a group. The only big eye in the group was Major Charity Adams. So I'm going to start with this because we're live and we can take calls. The number is 877-955-1061, 877-955-1061. If you've seen the film, please give us a call. The Tyler Perry film. There was a documentary, 688 documentary, but the Tyler Perry film, which won a slew of awards at, I believe, the NAACP Image Awards. And if I'm correct, the song was nominated for an Oscar at the recent Academy Awards. If you've seen the film, what I'd like you to do is just give us a call and tell us how you like the movie. Tell us how you like the movie, all right? Just how you like the movie. Did you know, number one, what did you discover? And did you like the film? And we all of us can, thanks so much for Tyler Perry for making a Hollywood film, a major film about the 688. It was amazing. 877-955-1061. If you saw the movie, tell us what you think of it, what you like. Did you know the story before? And if you haven't seen it, and you can call and congratulate the families of the 688. So here's how we're going to start. I'm going to I see everybody up there. Y'all look good. Everybody look good.
Dr. Marshall.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Before you start with our esteemed panel, I just want to ask you and I guess everyone here, am I the only one who at the end of the movie, at the end credit scene, slowed it down and watched it like 20 times in slow motion, trying to find my grandmother?
Yes.
Okay. Because I think I found her. I don't know, but I mean, I just wondered if I'm the only one who's really going at it like that. Okay.
Soon. You started too soon. That's what I want to find out. Let's draw this out. It's like a fine meal. We're gonna take it a little bit at a time. And so, no, you're not, and you will find out.
Okay.
So let's start this. Let me just get everybody who's here because they're joining us from all over. Literally, I mean, they're joining us from the East Coast. Some people it's like 11:15 back there. So I got here. Let's go. I see Rosenda Elizabeth Moore. Please raise your hand. All right, thank you. And then we got Tara Hunter. Tara, thank you.
Hi.
Catherine or Cat. You call yourself Catherine or Kathy?
Kathy's my nickname.
Okay, we'll call you Catherine. What do you want me to call you, huh?
Kathy. Kathy's good.
Kathy Connor. We have Leslie Carter, right? We have my sister-in-law. What's up, Renee? Was that you? That's my brother, but your picture's there, so I'm assuming that's one of y'all. Okay. That's my sister-in-law.
Yeah, JMO.
Oh, it's you with your wife's picture up there. Okay.
Yeah, I can't take her off.
And Jerry Marshall, my baby brother. So let's start with this.
Oh wait, I think you missed one. Did I hear you say Effie?
Effie, my sister.
Yeah, hi.
Oh, it's a sister. Oh, all right.
How you doing, ma'am?
Let me write the name down so I have it right because that wasn't on my list. So let's start this. Again, if you want to call in, 877-955-1061. Talk about, did you see the movie? Did you see the film? 688. Tell me what you thought of it. And if you want to salute the sentence, I'm sure they would love to hear about it. So let's start this. Let's go this way. We're going to begin with Rosenda. You just say who your descendant is, who the loved one is, and where you. You can say where you're calling from and where you're located, and what did you think of the film? Let's just go around. That's how we'll meet everybody. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm Rosenda Elizabeth Moore, and the 688 descendant was my mother, Lydia Thornton Moore. And yes, I did see the film. Actually, I've seen it, I think, 3 times, 3 or 4. And 2 of them were actually like in-person theater screenings. Like the first one was here. I'm on a 688 descendant, the email group. Yeah. And that's how I found out about which cities they were having screenings at. So my boyfriend actually found the closest one to us, and we went to see that like in the middle of the week, and there was nobody in there but us and like a couple of students because it's near UCLA University. So yeah, that it was gosh, it was just great for so many reasons. Because at first actually we weren't sure how it was going to turn out because we know Tyler Perry for other things, but not like historical films. But it was just we were just over the moon about it. It was just every little detail. All the actors and actresses were just fantastic. And yes, at the end of the film, when they had the names, like we were both screaming, "That's my mother!" Like, and then there was like one character in there. It didn't really occur to me, but after the fact, actually, one of my cousins went to see it in Missouri, and then my cousins in Texas, and a couple of them in Arizona. They all ended up sending me notes by the time they saw it. And there's, I guess, a character at the very beginning that they mentioned. One of the other young ladies says about her, "Oh, she is Negro. She's Black and Mexican. So that's my mother." And it didn't occur to me, but everybody else did. They said they were like screaming at home or in the theater, "That's Aunt Lydia, that's Aunt Lydia." And, so they're all like really excited about, well, they had all seen the documentary, from several years ago, but this was very different. It was very,
Rosenda, here's what we're gonna do. Anytime we
amazing.
call, we're gonna break in because okay.
Oh yeah.
Take the
Oh, and
call.
I'm in Los Angeles, by
In
the
Los
way.
Angeles.
I didn't say that.
I knew that. All right, we got one. No,
All right.
we got one. Okay, we
Go
got a
ahead.
call. We got a call. We'll take that. Hi, you're on Street Soldiers. Go right ahead. What's your name? And did you see the film Tyler Perry 6888? Go right ahead. Yes. No. Maybe. Gone. Yep. When you come on, Mike, tell them the rules. Tell them the rules, Mike.
Oh yeah, turn on your radio
Turn on the radio.
and speak clearly.
Okay.
Don't curse.
877-955-1061. We'll try and get you when you call. We're juggling a couple folks here. Things here. We got guests. We got callers. We got the whole bit. Thank you, Rosenda. Tara, you are. Who is your loved one, and where are you calling from? Where are you located?
I'm Tara Hunter, and
Hey Tara
yeah.
Hunter, real quick, 1 second. Let's get this call out the way, then we're gonna go to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, you're on.
Turn on your radio.
Yep. Hello.
Yes, my name is Marcus Dawson.
Mark.
And
oh, Lord. What's up, my brother?
Everything's good down here in Buckeye, Arizona.
You saw the
But
film.
I saw the film 3 times, and I have the DVD. We presented it during Black History Month here in Buckeye, Arizona. The mayor gave James Richard Marshall a proclamation and thanked him for bringing this historic event to Buckeye, Arizona. But about the movie, it's one thing when I would hear Mama O talk about it from time to time, but then to see, and I do know artistic liberty was taken in making the movie and everything, but to see what actually these strong Black women went through was to me, it was just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew they were strong, but to see what they had to endure in the government army and just in the country period, it put a whole new perspective on it for me. Now, as far as the casting, I mean, Kerry Washington did a magnificent job. However, no, I shouldn't say however, I'll say, and that fat general, that man he played that part to the point where he had me believing he wasn't playing. that was
Mhm.
just how he is naturally, because he nailed that thing. But to just answer Malcolm's question also, I had to slow it down and go back through it 3 or 4 times, because first of all, I forgot that Mama O wasn't Odessa Marshall, she was Odessa Taylor. So I was glad they had it in alphabetical order. But then when we saw my wife and I saw Odessa Taylor, it was like, there she is, there's Mama O. So she got her credit and everything. And I'm just so proud of them. I'm proud of the descendants continuing to carry on that entire legacy. And I thank you, Dr. Mars, for doing this show. So I'm going to turn it over and let somebody else get to it. But the only reason I call Dr. Marshall Dr. Mars is because he's truly out of this world.
Thanks, Marcus, for calling in, man. Buckeye, Arizona, 877-955-1061. Okay, Tara, and I'm sorry, folks, if we interrupt his calls, when the calls come in, we're going to try and take as many as we get, because we're limited on the time we can do that. So, Ms. Hunter, let's go back to you.
Again, I'm Tara. I am the granddaughter of Felicia LaVon Johnson. And excuse me, her son, Stephen Oliver Hunter, served as a captain in the United States Army. He was airborne and infantry. He served during the Vietnam War. And I have actually not yet seen the movie. Hearing reactions from people who are directly related to it, I think I'm ready to see it. But, I had a lot of friends and people that, they said they loved it and everything, but it was like, this isn't your family, so I don't know. So I have yet to see it, but I probably will watch it tonight if I'm staying up late.
Okay,
but
back to you to find out more about the individual loved one and what you learned growing up and so on and so forth. Just want to begin by getting a reaction to the film. Kathy Connor, you are located in, did you tell me in Miami?
Miami. I'm in Miami at the southern end, and my sister who came in, Afi, is in New York. So I'm glad that she joined. Yeah, the two of us. I saw the movie twice. The second time around, it was more emotional, because the first one is like, you see it, but then the second time you see it more deeply. Yeah. And then things started to reflect back with parents, because both of them were in the Army, actually, my father and my mother. And my mother went overseas after my father had gone, and several of the things that she shared with us, the movie brought out that we didn't realize the significance. We didn't know they were part of 688. We knew they were in the Army. We knew she was Black WAC, what have you. Had no idea about the 688 until 2023, when they had women in the military down here in Miami at one of the museums. I bought the picture of my mom just because she was in the Army, and the curator said, "Oh, do you have any more history? Because we want to be able to emphasize blah, 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 blah." Long story short, I called my sister in New York, and I said, "Do you have any records of Mom's papers or what have you?" And that's when we saw on those papers 688. I said, "This is what they were talking about." And then the curator said that, "Oh, by the way, Tyler Perry is working on a movie for that." Yeah. So that's how we discovered that she was part of it. And then in the movie, actually seeing it, there were 3 significant things that came back really, really strong. When I went on my first cruise, that's how I ended up in Miami. My mother said, "I hope you have a good time." But she says, "But I'll never set foot on a cruise ship." And I said, "But why?" And she said, but she says, going across that ocean, Atlantic, I was sick the whole time, going and coming, and I will never set foot on a cruise ship. It made sense to see what they, and that's how she described it. And she never did. Right. The second, mother was born in Alabama. She left when they were young. They came up to New York, so she primarily lived in New York. And when cousins would come up to visit to the house, I said, "Oh, have you ever been back down? Or when can we go back down to visit relatives?" And she says, "When I left Alabama, I will never go back again because of the racism." And she never, ever went back.
Mm.
My sister has been doing the research on our family in Alabama, but she never went back. The movie brought that out.
Camp Seabird.
The last part is the term make do. When Kerry Washington mentioned about we make do, my mother used to say that all the time. We learned how to make do. And it's significant that it all just came together, these little bits and pieces, because they never really talked about the in-depth, except the love story, which is the last quickie. My father went first. They knew each other in high school in New York. And, they went to dances, what have you. He enlisted first. And I think a year or 2 years later, my sister can confirm because she's the historian. She went over, she was part of the WAAC, the Women's Auxiliary
Army Corps.
Army Corps.
Yeah.
And then enlisted into the full one. And that's when we saw on the papers that she was into 688. When they went over there, they met back up in France, and they got married in Rouen. And our sister, our oldest sister, who was passed away, her name was Ruana. They named her after the city where they got married, Rouen, France. And they talked about that. That was the famous love story that we always used to share about. Oh, but we had no idea the connection that's.
But you discovered a lot in the movie itself. Right. That's that's wonderful to hear. Everybody saw them. The movie had. I don't want to say. Just you're saying that, I'm really glad he made the movie now because the discovery it did for you and your family. Film itself. Okay, let's keep moving here because we got a lot to cover. Wow, that blew my mind just hearing all of that. I want to add, when you saw the film, what did you think of the film itself? Effie?
Oh,
me?
No, I thought the film was phenomenal and a far cry from the Tyler Perry customs that we are seeing in general. And I thought the performance by Kerry Washington was Oscar worthy. And as the gentleman said a little earlier, we had to go at least five times to catch my mother's name because there was a light shining on the screen. Because the scroll was so fast. I had to go back and I said something is blocking that, and I caught it in an eye flash. I caught it with the red line, caught her name on there. The spelling was a little off, but it was accurate. Other than that, in the film, the minister, that was funny. After the night, then the morning after the night before at the dance. And I love dancing. So I was watching them dance and whatnot, and he called all kinds of names at the church indirectly, but we know what that meant. And I said, I guess he was expecting us to do the minuet, And I said, oh, they let loose. They let loose the tension from what they had to do in the rat-infested cold environment. They were really going to it. I sort of related to that very much with the dancing, but I thought that this is just the beginning. This is another beginning, and an uncanny relevance is the gentleman that she married. He looked like our father.
Our father, yes. We mentioned that. I
was holding our picture up. I said, "Oh my God, is this a twin?"
that was freaky. That was freaky. It
was scary.
It was.
It's really good to hear. The impact of the film on people. See, I mean, I think we all loved it. I mean, I don't think anybody didn't love it. That's why. When you see it, you're gonna love it. 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 But to hear these stories that came out of Tyler, I'm gonna call Tyler tomorrow and say, Tyler, let me tell you. I don't know. I'm not playing with y'all. But also I would tell him, y'all, you really put your foot in it. He really put his foot, as the old folks say, in that film. Let's go to you, because you're also back east. You're you're in DC, and you didn't know how much time you can spend with us. I'm sorry. So thank you.
No, it's quite all right. It's quite a pleasure. It's an honor to sit here with some of the other descendants of the women who served in the 688. So thank you for inviting me, allowing me the opportunity. I am in Washington, D.C., so I'm 3 hours ahead of you on the West Coast. But yes, there are two people that I'm connected to, one that I'm related to by blood. But I'm going to talk about the first person who I guess learned that I'm connected to, which was Miss Edna Bernice Schuster, who I learned after watching the movie in the credits. So yes, we stopped and slowed down the picture. Someone said that earlier. I wondered about it, and we did our research, and she was actually married to my great uncle, which was interesting because I never knew that. But my blood, who I was related to, was my grandmother, which was my uncle's sister, obviously, and her name is Gladys Schuster Carter. And I thought the movie was really great, and it's just wonderful to see kind of a continuum of making sure that women who served in World War II were recognized. And from my perspective and where I sit, it really was, in my mind and in my family, a continuation of something that my grandmother started, Gladys Schuster Carter. She was part of the Black WAC, and later formalized the structure and organization of the National Association of Black Military Women. And so she fought tirelessly to make sure, I guess in the 80s, 90s, really reaching out to the women that were still living at the time to make sure that they told their story. And I think they coined it her story. So for me, coming into watching the movie, very excited, and I hope my entire family very excited to see that effort continue through Tyler Perry. Now, granted, my grandmother never met Tyler Perry, but certainly he took on the role, took on the responsibility, and handled the stories, I thought, very responsibly. And it was a great movie. I enjoyed it tremendously. And it just, I smiled throughout, and some of the comments that were made by the actresses and the actors in there reminded me of my grandma, things that she kind of emphasized growing up. It kind of just helped me to make sense of it all. Things that she would say to us as we spent time with her. So yeah, I enjoyed the movie. It was good.
I'm going to stick with the film itself before I go to Jerry Marshall, who I will let carry the banner for the Marshall family here. The dance scene, to me, I mean, there were scenes in that movie that were just so, I mean, a lot of folks, young folks, have never seen, Lindy Hop. They ain't never seen Jennifer, right? And they think they can dance. No, them folks can dance. You ain't throw nobody over your head from on the way down, okay? I mean, that was just, that was just, everything to me was amazing about that. But that in the middle of all the madness that they were dealing with, I thought there was a brilliant piece a stroke by Tyler, put that in there, to show that, while we going through this, we still gonna do our thing. We still gonna do our thing. And, go ahead. Somebody wants to say something
I was
about
just saying, and the beauty salon.
Yes.
Look, oh my God. Those women.
Black woman's hair. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who's going to do our hair?
Who's going to do our hair? You can't put a bunch of sisters together and they're going to take care of business no matter where they are. I mean, and they showcase so much of that. And, he was like, what's this abuse? Like, well, we got here. We women, we got to take care of our hair. That man cannot understand that, right?
Oh, and Joseph.
Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to add something when you're speaking out the film. The second time I saw the film was in Tempe, Arizona. I was invited by Edna Cummings and Joseph Alano to come to a screening. And so Edna was there, Joseph was there because he organized it, but Major Fanny McClendon was there. And so she's one of the two women that's still alive. She's 104. And my late sister and I met her a couple of times. And she was sitting in front of me during the film. And what really got to me was she was reliving a lot of those scenes,
Oh,
like when
wow.
things were really tough, when they were being really racially attacked and that guy's all up in their face, and you know, she very clearly said, oh, if you think that was bad, it was a lot worse than that, but we didn't let it stop us. We stuck together. She
Wow.
said that like 3 or 4 times through different sections of the film, and she was just I was just amazed, and I thought, what must she be feeling, and the memories coming into her into her soul, like she was reliving it, and it really just really affected me.
Now that says something. We got a call. We're gonna take it. We got a call. Okay, all right. You're on Street Soldiers. Did you see the film 6888 Tyler Perry? Hello. Can't hear you.
Hello.
Oh, go right ahead.
Yes, my name is Stephen Hunter. I on the advice of my daughter, I called into this number.
Well, thank you.
My mother and grandmother, and my daughter's grandmother, was a member of the 6888.
Oh, please say her name. Please say her name.
My name is, you say her name or
Her
my
name. Well, yours too, but hers for sure.
Yeah. Her name was Felicia LaVon Johnson at the time. That's her maiden name. Her married name is Hunter. And I'm her son, Stephen Hunter.
Hi, Daddy.
Came back. Hey, babe.
Okay. Oh, look here. Look here. I knew the word was gonna get around. Did you see the film, sir?
I saw a little part of it, and I get extremely emotional when I let myself think about it, and
yes, sir.
And the fact that I didn't know that the unit had some notoriety until about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I stumbled across it then, and so I resisted seeing the movie. And my mother, I don't think she didn't play a prominent part in the history of it, but just to know that she was a member of the unit.
That's the prominent part.
That's prominent.
Yeah, and never spoke of it.
Yeah,
at least not to me.
I think you find that's a common thing with a lot of the descendants of the 6888.
Never heard about it.
We're going to explore more of that later, but you're bringing something out that I think a lot of us know, like, oh, I was just over there, we just went on
doing our duty.
Doing my duty. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know the film it's hard to watch. Yeah, just because of the conditions and so on and so forth and what they did, and not knowing about it, which is, I think, a shame when it comes to the history of Black people in this country, which they're trying to go back to, but that's a whole nother thing. We'll get into. But sir, thank you so much for calling in and telling us about that. They were amazing, and like I said before, the best thing to me is that they were a unit. They were one, and I like showing it. Lady E knows we're going to show it to our young women, our kids, period. But they ain't seen no women like this. They have not seen it. They're watching all these videos. Okay, so they have no idea that Black women act like this. They're either watching that or they're watching the Housewives of every city and and Love and Hip Hop and and all
Temptation Island.
Hey, they don't know these kind of women. So thank you so much for the call. Thank you so much for the call. Rosanna, I'm going to tell you this.
Quite well.
Thank you, sir. I actually got a call from somebody who's seen the film. It's a good friend of mine, and he called me and said, Dr. Marshall, I just want to know how much of this was Hollywood. Like he just really couldn't believe in his that this was like, he felt he probably thought 40% of it was Hollywood. And I said, no, this really happened. This really happened. This man did a good job of depicting it, but this really happened, and I had to tell him, no, man, And if you don't believe it, go see the documentary, because the documentary, which came out before the film, is excellent. And if you don't believe the film, go watch the documentary, and you think if you don't think Charity Adams told that boy over my dead body, go to the documentary and hear her say it in person. So, yeah, Jerry Marshall. All right, you get to represent the Marshall clan. And did you see the film? And what'd you think?
I did see the film, but she did respectfully say, she said it respectfully. She said, how'd she put it? She respected her commanding officer by saying, with all due respect.
Yes.
Then she said, over my dead body, right? So the fact that she said that, and I did see the movie, my mother's name was Odessa Taylor Marshall. And one thing that stood out for me, or a number of things, was you're right, acting as one unit, but they had the characteristics of not only military, but what our ancestors had instilled in them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That desire to know, or the knowledge to know who they were, and even to know where they were, and to study the folks where they were, and to also come up with solutions. So that just that hunger to know. And I don't know if young people had that kind of hunger anymore, or that desire to know.
Yeah.
And then they displayed in the movie so much tenacity. And determination. They was not going to take no for an answer.
No.
And
no.
And when you think about us as a people in this country, we've always had tenacity and determination.
Yeah.
And within the whole segregation that was abroad and at home, right, that they were standing up for. And then the resiliency to bounce back after all that. I mean, what was it, Johnny May? She was the hard one that just said she wanted to punch somebody, I guess. But that resiliency to just hold fast, to do the right thing, to bounce back every time. It was just excellent. The movie brought it out. And then what our ancestors have always had, and I think we still have that now, is that faith.
Yeah.
Faith that no matter what we go through,
that's right.
How grandma used to say, this too shall pass.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like they all knew that. Right?
They all knew it.
All knew it. And then I think that last thing that I think embodied was the love that they had for each other unconditionally, and even tough love.
Yeah.
When they talked to each other, they didn't really see it as disrespect and I don't like you and you don't like me. It was like, that's just tough love. She's just telling you about yourself. And they honored that, right? And they grew from that. Right. So those are those, that desire to know, that tenacity, determination, the resiliency, and then that love. I call it grandma love. They loved each other no matter how bad they was or what they did, how bad they stank or didn't do this. They still loved each other to overcome the obstacles. So it's like what you say, Doc. They have to be alive and free and educated, right? And they definitely were alive. They knew they were free in their mind.
Yeah.
And they had that knowledge to know what to do and when to do it and how to do it as a unit. One thing that brought tears to my eyes when finally they recognized those women in the train station.
Yeah.
And they got that salute. I just I just broke down on that one.
Yeah,
right?
you did.
That was like, ooh. Yeah, so that was great. And in this whole ordeal about learning about my mother's story and just the 688, it caused me to do a lot. I don't think anybody's here, but they had the tour. We took a walking in their footsteps tour where a group of descendants, we went overseas.
That's right.
So we went to someone went to Scotland and then came down on the train to Birmingham. I just flew straight into Birmingham. I didn't want to go to Scotland, but to go to St. Edward's, the same place that they were at the school, the club that they only had, because they had their own self-contained city. They had their own motor pool, their own recreation. They had their own, they cooked all the meals. They had everything self-contained, the bar, the beauty shop, and everything else, and their ability to create and solve problems was just amazing. So on the tour, we also went to Rouen, France, and there, I guess it was Petroquilli, they were actually honoring Charity Adams and naming a street after her. We were down there, so they all had us signing plaques and things to honor her. And she was a phenomenal and amazing woman. And I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, and she grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, right? Then we went over to France and to Paris and saw where the women were there. A lot of times we kind of try to walk in their footsteps. I mean, when they were doing the parade marches, you see these iconic images of the people.
Yeah.
We went to the same place and we had the nerve to line up and try to march like they were. It didn't work, but it was just good knowing that they were there and we were there. The Napoleon statue, they marched in front of that statue. We lined up and we marched in front of it. Yes, sir.
Oh, I think we got a call.
Okay.
I'm trying to take this one before 40 hours up. Go ahead. Hi, you're on Street Soldiers. Did you see the film, 6888? You got to turn your radio down. You got to talk to us. 5, 4.
Hello?
3. Yeah, all right, we got you.
I hung her up.
Call back.
I hung her up.
You got a minute.
You got about 30 seconds.
And they got to turn the radio down. See, they're listening and they're talking at the same time. There's a line. We have to wrap up this hour and go to the next hour. It's funny. There are lines in these films that are just memorable. And when Charity, they go into that hellhole in Scotland, right? That castle. And they looking around, what the? Our mothers and grandmothers have dealt with shacks like this before.
Hello.
Right? And we can do this. I'm like, that's black women. Okay, we take the call. Go right ahead. You're on.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
You're on. Go right ahead.
Go ahead, ma'am.
See the movie?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What'd you like?
My name.
Oh,
I loved it. I loved it. I am one of the descendants. My mother was Mary Elizabeth Walker.
All righty. I'm writing that down.
Okay.
What'd you think about the movie?
I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, it's echoing because I got the TV on and I'm on my cell phone, so I'm gonna get out of the room and just talk.
Thank you, Mary Elizabeth Walker. Thank you.
Yes.
Got it.
She served over in Europe there, and I was able to go to an event in Buckeye, Arizona. I am right now in Surprise, Arizona, but I attended a celebration for Black History Month in Buckeye, and I met Mr. Marshall there, and we talked. Joseph Orlando of the Tuskegee Airmen invited me to come, and then they also recognized my mom. I'm so excited about getting the Congressional Medal. Yes.
Look, we got to wrap up this hour. Thank you so much for calling. I got her name, Mary Elizabeth Walker.
Yes, from New York.
Got it. I can't go to this, so go for me. All right.
I'm not going to be able to go, but we're going to try to do something here in Arizona.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Calling, you got it. Love the 6888. All right, we're going to take a break. We're coming back. Pull out the photos, y'all. Pull out the photos. If you got them, we're going to let everybody see them. I think those will. Well, wait till the next time. Wait till the next time. Hold on, Kathy. I know you sent me a whole bunch in the email.
I got mine on my phone.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back in about 5, okay? All right, hang on.
If they taking a break, can we talk to each other during the break, or do we have to be quiet?
I think we can talk.
Okay.
You're on mute, Jerry.
I think somebody.
We're gonna
me.
we're gonna share a video, so I'm gonna mute you.
What's up,
Okay.
Jerry? Looking good with
Hey.
that little pepper over there.
I have a quick question. The all three marshals.
Hey, Big Daddy, what's going on?
Hour number two, Alive and Free, Street Soldiers Radio, now exclusively on YouTube. Calls in the Bay Area. You have to watch us now because that's we're on YouTube. Wow, this is just great. We're celebrating tonight in anticipation of the presentation of the Congressional Gold Medals on, I think, April 29th in Washington, D.C. We're saluting the remarkable achievements of the 688. And joining us in this celebration to salute our descendants of 688 members. And I'm just going to say who our guests are. Rosenda Moore calling in. I think she's in Los Angeles. If I'm wrong, just tell me again. Tara Hunter is in Colorado. Didn't you say Colorado, Tara?
Denver, Colorado,
Denver,
or
that's what I thought.
Loveland.
Yeah, okay, Colorado. Leslie Carter, who is in DC, and Kathy and Connor, who was in Miami, and Phoebe is in New York, I think, right? All right, did I say that halfway right? Okay, and a couple of Marshalls, Taylors. Okay, we got I didn't say New York. It wasn't New York. No, it wasn't New York.
What part of New York?
Well,
she in Brooklyn, Bronx?
Jamaica, Queens.
You gotta get personals. Yeah, that's what I want to know.
All right. And Jerry Marshall and James Marshall are yet to speak, but he will. There he is under the name of Renee, his wife. Lady E, where's Lady E? Lady E, you there? Lady E, you're the only one that gets a chance to comment on the film. So come on back. Let me let you do that before we go into picture showing time. Okay. So go ahead, Lady E.
I thought the film was amazing. I thought it was amazing. I cried when it got started, and I cried. And even though I'm not related, I had a conversation with Miss Marshall. And it was just out of the blue. And we were sitting in her room. I just happened to be there. And she just started to tell me about when she was a little girl, because she was talking about the wax. She loved her wax. Mm-hmm. And she just started to talk about it. And I'm one that will listen, and I just love to hear stories. I love to tell stories. And she got started, and baby, I had no idea that what she was telling me was so historical. I had no clue, but she talked about the submarine. She talked about how dirty that place was and the rats. She talked about the water was so cold. She was just telling me, and the reason that she went, she said, I was just a little girl, but I wanted to serve my country. And bless my heart, when I saw the documentary, that was one thing. But when that movie started, baby, it felt like I was sitting right in front of Miss Marshall again. And I just cried. I had to, because I watched it on Netflix, I had to stop. It's Miss Marshall, one of the sweetest ladies I ever met. And she just, it was just we just, I thought, oh my goodness, and here I am. It was just amazing. It was just an amazing tribute to watch them women stand and march, to watch their commitment to each other, their determination to support the woman in charge.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Yeah. We have a reputation of not being able to work together and get along, but that movie told a completely different story.
Absolutely.
How we can come together and we can make it work. We can cook, we can wash, we can clean, we can change tires, we can fix the engine. We can do it all. And they did it with ease and grace and class. Anyway, so I just love it. He did an amazing job. And I'll always remember that conversation just out of the blue, just telling me about something that who knew the power and the history and what it would come to. Is just remarkable to me. That's my story. I'm sticking with it.
Thank you. And it's true. Each of our families have done everything we can to let folks know. I mean, and either making presentation or just talking about it. Hey, I mean, every time I'm somewhere, I said, have you seen the movie? Have you seen the movie? That's my mama was one of those. I mean, they be like, oh, Dr. Your mama was one of those. And some of us have been able to get just like historical things happening, naming days happening, dedications and so on and so forth. Carmen Jordan Cox, who some of you might know, is one of the six. Her mother was a 68888, and she just sent me this thing. And can we show this recently about a day? We'll see what it is. So
Dr. Marshall, did we hear from JMO?
We gonna get JMO. No, I'm saving JMO.
Okay.
I'm saving the wise one. Okay.
All
See that?
right.
Saving him. Good. Let's take a look at this.
It is both a privilege and an immense honor to be before you all today as I present this. It is both a privilege and an immense honor to be before you all today as I present this bill to honor one of the most extraordinary and often overlooked units in the history of U.S. military. And without them, the morale of the U.S. military could very well have crumbled. Today, we must also remember 4 remarkable Delaware members of the 688 Battalion: Corporal Grace Evelyn Bryant, Corporal Edith Marguerite Carter, Private Mary Crawford, and Private Evelina Rachel Griffin.
My mother was Private Evelina Rachel Griffin. She was an assigned driver for the officers.
And my mother was Private First Class Annie B. Knight Jordan. And my mother served in both roles. She was a code breaker, and also she handled the mail while she was in Europe as well. I consider the 688 to be another one of those hidden figures stories. We're the only all-African-American female battalion to serve in the European Theater of Operations during World War II.
And their mission was to deliver mail.
There were 7 million U.S. soldiers and civilian workers for the Army in the European Theater of Operations, and the mail was backed up approximately 3 years. And so they had 6 months in England to clear up the 17.5 million parcels. And they were able to develop a communication system and finish the job in 3 months. I want to make sure these stories are told and that they are documented for young people to listen. In terms of what I think is the legacy, it's that there's nothing beyond your abilities to do things if you choose to do them and to commit to that. And so there will be struggles, but struggles can be overcome because our ancestors have overcome them.
Thank you, Carmen, for sending it. Thank you, Carmen, for sending it. And I think, this is the direction that so many of us are taking. Like, number one, now we know, okay? And now y'all gonna know. And now we gonna do whatever we can to keep it moving, Let pull out the pictures now. Pull out the pictures.
Yeah.
Pull out the picture. Everybody got to see pictures. You got a picture? JMO, you better have a picture. Somebody got a picture. I want to see. All right. And let me tell you why. These pictures are just amazing to me. They're just beautiful. I mean, every time I see these women in these units and these 1940s pictures, I just like, number one, I love old black and whites. Okay. But they're just stunning, right? See, look at that. Look, they're just stunning. All of these pictures. And so Rosanna, to start with you. When did you heard Lady E talk about, her encounter with my mother, and she learned more than I knew. Growing up, did you know? What'd you know growing up? Because I ain't know nothing.
My mom didn't say nothing. Well, she said very little. I think up until, let's say, I think it was in 2004. Up until then, the only thing she would say is, yes, I served in World War II. Actually, the same with my father. He served in World War II and in the Korean War, and that's it. And my mother said, served in the Black Wax. We went overseas. That was it. Oh, the only other comment she said was, well, we went to England, we went to France, and she said, the English don't know how to season their food. It was really bland. Like, that's it. She didn't say nothing to me or my sister. And then what changed all that was in 2004, my sister was doing her master's thesis at UCLA, where she worked for 37 years. And so the theme of her thesis was, how do Afro-Latinos self-identify? Because I said my mother's Black and Mexican. Her father was from Texas. He's African American, and he actually took a railroad job. They built the railroad into central Mexico. He stayed there for work, and he met my grandmother, who's Mexican, and then they came back to Nogales, Arizona, started a family, had 12 kids, you know, moved on with their lives. So that's where my mother grew up. And so in 2004, my sister interviewed her, and that was the first time she went into detail.
Right.
And said she enlisted because her older brother, my Uncle Daniel, was serving with the 93rd Infantry, and he had been wounded in the Battle of Bougainville, which I believe that's Papua New Guinea. They were fighting against Japanese forces there. And so she was still living at home. She just graduated high school year before. And, you know, they notified parents, and she was still there. And she said it motivated her to want to do her part because she loved her brother very much and wanted to do her part. And she said there were ads in the local newspaper that the Black Wax, Women's Army Corps was looking for, you know, people to enlist. And they also mentioned the Black Wax. So she knew that she could enlist. So she had to travel to Tucson. Then they sent them to Phoenix to enlistment office. And that's where it all started. But yeah, she went into all these details. And Alva and I Alva's my sister, we never knew anything. And then what happened, she mentioned it to two other people, apparently, because when the 2018 monument dedication happened, our cousin and my father's family, he called my sister and me and said, hey, they're going to have a monument dedication to the 688 in Fort Leavenworth. And your mother told me 30 years ago that she'd served in the 688. No details, but he told her, yeah, she named that. And then I also found out when the documentary was out, and Alva and I went to a screening a few years ago in San Diego, one of my childhood best friends I've known since second grade, she came up to us after the film and said, well, you know, your mother told me and my mother once, yeah, I served in World War II with the Black Wax, 688, we were overseas. That was it. So she just dropped a little bit, and that was it.
Crumbs. Yeah, yeah.
And we've learned a wealth of information since then.
Yeah, yeah. Tara, how about you? How did you? Did you?
Tara.
It's Tara. Oh, okay.
Tara.
Tara, like Gone with the Wind. Okay.
Exactly.
That shows you how old I am, right?
I always tell people it's Tara, like Gone with the Wind, but not named after a plantation.
Not many people seen that. Yeah. Oh, what did you learn? Coming up? What did you hear?
So I remember my grandmother passed in 86 or 87, and I was I was 12 years old at the time, and I do remember knowing that she served overseas, but to us we were like, okay, World War II happened overseas, you know, and during the time out and the time since, my mom, she was very close to my granny, and she would tell me the stories that my grandmother would tell her about the White Cliffs of Dover. And the fact that, you know, what is it that they said? Once you see the White Cliffs of Dover, you'll know that you're safe. And so for her, that was like her favorite memory, was the White Cliffs of Dover. And then she would talk about how, I don't remember if it was when she was in England or in France, but she would talk about the kids would come up to her and rub her skin because they thought that the color would come off. So that was the extent of what we knew growing up. Excuse me. And so then in 2019, shortly after the monument was dedicated, it was purely by chance that a friend of my father's posted, I think it was an article in Essence. And so my dad opened the article, read through it. The link took him to the monument site, scrolling through the names, and there was Granny's name.
Wow.
And so he called me, he left me a message, and I was busy at the time. And yeah, sorry, my voice is shaking. And I just started, going through it and everything. And now ever since then, it's been like my mission to let people know, what's going on, what they're about. I have been in contact with local media about it. I'll be interviewed by the Colorado Public Radio as well as one of the Northern Colorado newspapers before the trip.
Right.
But then I also, and I just dropped them in the chat, I was able to get in connect with a couple of different artists to get some custom pieces made for my dad based on my granny's her service photo. So the oil painting is something that there's a Capitol Hill reporter that I ended up following on Twitter when that was still around. And I contacted him and I was like, do you take custom orders? And so he painted this and it sat in the Capitol for several weeks until he could get it to me. And then I have a good friend who does the clay polymer modeling. And so he did that custom piece for my dad for a present and sent him a nice note talking about how honored he was to have been part of history in this way.
Thank you so much. If you think about this, we're in a pretty exclusive club. There were 855 members of the 688. And there's only 855 of our families, who are part of this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful legacy. And yeah. Leslie, what you hear coming up? What's that? What you gonna do something? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? You gonna zoom in?
Well, I'm trying to show it. This is so beautiful.
It is. Yeah. Yes. Okay. 5, 4. You're gonna show it. Okay. We got time. And says she's gonna do it. Oh, wow. Oh my God. Oh man, that's the wow. The thing, what's gonna come out of this is just amazing. And each of our families and collectively also. Thank you. Leslie, what'd you hear coming up?
Wow. I remember pictures of my grandmother, Gladys Schuster Carter. I remember pictures of her. I can't remember the time point initially when I first saw that she served in the military, but I can't say that she was really quiet about it, but I can't say that she went into a lot of detail early on, or maybe I just don't recall. But when I hit my college years, high school and college years, that's when I heard about her being, having served most. And it is because, I mentioned it earlier, it is because she was one of the founders of the National Association of Black Military Women and was integral in the organizational structure of that. So she was very much gung-ho about making sure that all of your relatives were also recognized. And she thought it was quite a thing that they had not been recognized at all.
Right.
So a group of women got together and spent a lot of time, days, hours, months, really just trying to reach out to women across the country who served. And one of the things I recall her saying is that a lot of the women who served did not want to tell their story. And so it was because of these phone calls, I guess maybe the shared experience. And then my grandmother had a sense of woo. I don't know if you know what I mean by woo, but just winning people over. Slowly they began to share, and they created it was a booklet called Her Story, and that kind of went out early on. So that's when I first started hearing it. I was probably like, I don't know, 19, 20. And there were many trips coming to the U.S. Capitol to lobby for this recognition. and they began to get some traction. And I remember attending, I think it was a small documentary. Well, I don't want to say it was small, but there was a documentary called Her Story that we saw at Dark Constitution Hall. And the reason why my recollection at the time, I didn't really have a sincere appreciation for what I was being exposed to. And I kind of felt like I was being drugged to these military, because I was not military. My father served in Vietnam. My uncle served in the Army. My grandfather was also in World War II. But, I was just kind of living my life. And so I went to these events with grandma, met all, the soldiers that were involved, those that were part of now National Association of Black Military Women. But hearing about the 6888, that was really the focus. And I can't help but think that maybe, just maybe, one of the reasons why so many women did not share their stories, because you have to think about the time period that they were living in also. Yeah. So the gentleman said earlier about resilience. What is it that they really, really had to overcome? My grandmother's quoted in a book, I can't call the name of it right now, but she said something about having stopped at one station that they were at, and they had to drink from separate water fountains. And I do remember her telling that story. And just kind of, you would have had to know my grandmother's personality. And I can't quote her right now, but it is in the book. And she's just like, I'm gonna drink from whatever water fountain I want to. That was her tone.
I am not surprised.
Yeah, and that was her tone, that was her tenacity, her way of being. But it's also representation of, I think, all the women who served in the 6888. To be able to process that amount of mail, they would have had to have a certain level of tenacity, commitment, and fortitude to get that done in the way that they did. And I'm also told, had they not done that, the United States may not have won the World War II, right? And I think Tyler Perry kind of brought that, or maybe it's because I had that in the back of my mind, but he brought that part forward.
Well, no mail, no morale was a a big deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Eleanor Roosevelt wouldn't have said, go over there and do it, right? It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's that simple,
Absolutely. But I want to say this. Today, I do have my grandmother passed in 2009, July of 2009. And after that, I just made a commitment to always just make sure that I'm thanking women, Black women, who are serving and fighting for our country still today and aren't really all the time recognized, but they were the first. And so I just feel honored, and I feel honored to be here too. So thank you for allowing me to share. I posted a picture in the chat.
Thank you. We got it. Everybody's seeing it. This is wonderful. This is wonderful.
Hold on, let's show
Listen,
her picture.
let's. Oh, okay. Oh, there we
she
go.
is.
Oh,
That's
okay.
my grandmother.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. So we're gonna show this other video before I go to you, Anthony, Kathy. Let's show this other video. Getting the word out, appearing on whatever medium you can. And this features, you're going to see a couple familiar faces, but you're also going to see another member of the 6888 talking about their family story. So let's go to that one.
February 1945. After 4 years of fighting, American forces in Europe were making their final push into Germany. Those in command knew the war-weary soldiers needed more than weapons and supplies to finish the mission. They needed letters from home, reminders of what and who they were fighting for. At this critical time, the mail had stopped and morale was low.
No mail, no morale. That was part of it, and they did the job.
Enter the 6888th Central Postal Battalion, nicknamed the 6888. The all-female unit was 855 strong. With only 2 exceptions, a Puerto Rican and a Mexican, all were African American. 98-year-old Anna Robertson is one of the 6 surviving members. Although unable to share her story today, has shared much with her family and daughter Cherie.
My mother would often say that she went over to help out and do her part because the men were fighting in the front line, and that she and the other women in her battalion could do things behind the scenes, but they were all a part of the victory.
Odessa Marshall, who died in 2017, was also one of them. Her sons, James and Jerry Marshall, say their mom, like most, had her reasons for joining the Army.
When you're living in the Jim Crow South, and my mother was from Tennessee, and you're faced with segregation, sexism, racism, classism, and then someone comes along and offers you the opportunity to be educated, to be trained technically, and to travel. And that's what the military was offering her. She said, let's join. So for her, it was an opportunity to leave the situations that she was in at home.
The battalion arrived in Glasgow, Scotland on February 14, 1945, and took a train to London. There to greet them, the woman who'd one day become the Queen of England.
My mom showed me a picture one time that when she got off the ship, she said, this white woman was shaking my hand, and I didn't know who she was. But it was actually Elizabeth, who was princess, that shook the hands of the colored troops that were coming over.
Under the command of Major Charity Adams, the first black female in U.S. Army history to become a commissioned officer, the battalion was taken to unheated, rat-infested warehouses stacked to the ceiling with undelivered letters and packages, many containing spoiled food. The mission? Get every piece of mail processed and delivered.
And she said the windows were blackened because they didn't want the Germans to find out where they were. They had to sleep with their heavy coats and boots on because they had no heat, no electricity.
Working 8-hour rotating shifts, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the 688 developed a system to get every piece of mail to millions of soldiers serving throughout Europe.
Well, she talked about the task being enormous.
Although inspired by their motto, no mail, low morale, there were times they had to reach for something more.
But it was their faith and trust in our Lord Savior Jesus Christ that got them through that. And here she is, soon to be 99 and still sitting strong, and it's still her faith.
The task was supposed to take 6 months. The 688 did it in 3. It's estimated the unit processed over 17 million letters and packages. About the same time, the war in Europe ended with Germany's surrender on May 8, 1945. A month later, the battalion was transferred to France to clear out the backlog of mail there, again, in half the time expected. To these women, they were just proud to serve their country.
She was just doing her duty. So it was nothing to glorify.
Once stateside, the 688 was disbanded. Charity Adams was promoted to lieutenant colonel, the highest ranking African-American woman in the Army at the time. The others went home. Anna and Odessa went on to marry World War II veterans and have big families. Both stayed active veterans throughout their lives, serving with the National Association of Black Women Veterans, which Odessa was a founder.
And my mother says the greatest thing about her military service, about the Army, of the military, is that they gave her everything, even her children.
Finally, after more than 7 decades, the women of the 688 would get the recognition they deserved, including a monument that now stands at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Then, in 2021, each woman was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. All 8 of the remaining survivors were in attendance.
I'm very proud of my mother, not only because she's was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, but because of who she is, and what she stands for, and the life that she lived.
She did what she was supposed to do, and I think she kind of instilled that in us. It doesn't matter about the circumstances, it's can you accomplish the task?
I thought that was a great piece. I love these pieces wherever they appear. And let me go to, if you don't mind, let me go to the one who's been sitting there so patiently, hasn't had a thing to say, but I know I got to get to him. James Marshall. It's funny when you said the Army gave them, my mother said, our mother gave everything. I actually think the Army was a lot easier than raising the 9 of us. I always say that. But James, you have like really carried the torch for our family. You got this piece done on the 700 Club. You did the piece with Al Roker early on that kind of jump started things on a national television level, because that was a big thing. and you went to the play in New York and so on and so forth. But you've made a lot of presentations, and you really have focused on the history and what these women were facing. And I don't think, like you said, Leslie, I don't think people understand really this was what they were facing at that time. And when I heard you say, you know, we had to go to segregated war violence. Yeah, everything was segregated. This was segregated, right? They were fighting the enemy within, and they were dealing with the enemy without. But James, please, if you want to talk a little bit about those times, anything you want to say, because you've just been watching. So I'm gonna give you a few minutes.
Well, thanks for having me, and it's good seeing you, Rosinda. I can see my brothers. Rosinda is a fantastic person. She came over to the museum to see the exhibit. And I was very blessed having her there. And she shared her story about her mother with me. And it was a close, cohesive, and intimate moment. And also, I want to thank you for sending me the piece of the museum that wanted to honor your mother. And I thought that was great. So thank you very much for informing me of that. My mother, before she passed, she left me a photo album. And on the photo album, it says, the title of it is Black WAAC/Wax, a collection of photos from Fort Des Moines, Fort Huachuca, and 688. So when I break them up in that, I get the whole experience from the photos, but she wasn't able to tell me. I can see from the photos, let's say she had me about 30 pictures of Fort Des Moines. The story tells itself, you know, and most of them are with other WACs and some with her friends. And then we transfer over to, and that was their basic training, but prior to that, she has articles of calling for Black WACs to enlist, and articles of her enlisting, and articles of other people from St. Louis enlisting. My mother came from St. Louis. She enlisted in St. Louis. So, so I get her story that way. A couple years before, about 3 years before she passed, she would be an honor guard, representing the honor guard of her chapter, her WAC chapter from Sacramento, and she would be represented in the Veterans Day in the Arlington National Cemetery Memorial. So she would carry the flag, and I would get pictures with her, and we became more intimate. I was at 55 when all this occurred, you know. So anything prior to that, I wasn't really, you know, didn't know too much of my mother's service. But when my brother passed away, it became more and more, she was more and more open to tell me a lot of things. So before she passed, she gave me this book, these albums of all these photos. And so I didn't know I was going to turn these photos into a museum, an exhibit. I didn't even know that. That was the farthest thing from my mind. And so when she did pass, I was teaching a subject about during Black History Month for about, you know, since 2000 and let's say 2012. And so I'm from Los Angeles. I belong to a lot of social groups. And so every time in Black History Month, I would go out and I would teach about the 688. But I really taught about the WAAC, because 688 didn't come till, that's just a battalion of 855 women. There were 6,500 sisters that was in the service. So even before I begin my presentation, I pay due great respect to those 65 of the other 5,965 women who didn't get that opportunity. And the reason they didn't get that opportunity was because the Army generals would only permit who they wanted to permit over there. So that's why they didn't go to all these other countries. Only France and Britain decided they'll allow Black women, and General Marshall was part of getting the women in the wax started. So that's why they were in Europe. And so, so I never released the obligation to the other women, you know, because they caught, I tell my brother, they had to stay here. And they was catching holy hell every day they stayed in the United States.
That's true. That's right.
Okay.
Segregated.
So
Segregated
our mothers got a little breather for 3 or 4 months. But when they came back, all that disappeared.
Yeah, what was that famous line that Charity used? Our country, we loved our country, but they didn't always love us back.
Yeah, no, that was Lena. That was Miss King. Lena. Yeah, Lena said that. And so I just tell that story. And the exhibit, I got 6 mannequins all in uniforms. I got, you know, some other collections I've been doing. If you ever go to a military collection store, you won't find anything on women, period, of the military. It's really
James,
a disgrace, to tell you the truth.
In the clip that you all just watched, a lot of the films that they show with the uniforms, the gas mask, that's all from James's exhibits.
Yeah, yeah, he's
and so now with the Tyler Perry movie, it was so funny because I told you I was teaching in 2010. I wasn't making an impact, right? But when the movie came out, then everything just shot up for me. It just shot up. So I've been doing exhibits for the union. I've been doing exhibits for as I went to Buckeye. And one thing about the exhibit is that you don't know what's going to happen when you're out there doing this exhibit. When I was in Buckeye is where Fanny lives. I didn't know that until I had the exhibit down there, and everybody says, "Oh, you know, Fanny, we could have brought Fanny here. We knew that." So I said, "No, that didn't happen that way." But anyway, it was a white lady that came over and wanted to sit at the table with me. I sat way in the back. Because before I go up, I want to do my last minute editing and all that thing. So I said, "No, you can sit down." And she started telling me the story that when she saw the movie, she started crying. And I'm just listening to her. I said, "Why?" She says, "Well, because my grandfather was overseas in Germany." And quickly before I forget this, the United States was fighting 2 wars. Okay, so I have to remind people, no, it wasn't just the Germans they were fighting. So you see their manpower really depleting. The Japanese was killing them and the Germans was killing them. So the need for the women became even greater, you know. She told me that her grandfather was received a letter 10 months later. This is what happened. 10 months later, he received a letter. And he was in a foxhole, and he lit the match, and he opened the letter and says, "You have a boy." Okay, and then he had to put a son. He had a son, so he had to put the match out. Okay, and he told that story, and she was crying because that's when the wax came in. Now, hearing this from a white person, tying this in to me made it really good for me as an investigator going out there doing all these things. It made it good. So, and then the son, which is her father, came out to be a highway patrolman in California. And guess what his badge number was? 688.
Come on now.
And honesty was really present. And I've talked to her since then because I got the recordings of all these things. So I learned more from the pictures. Like I said, I traveled the journey, all these journeys, and then we get over to into England. They have to come back home. But my mother was a surgical nurse. She was a Tech 5 when she was at Fort Huachuca. But when she went overseas, she was a Tech 4. So, you know, I got to do a little bit more investigation. They might owe me some money. I don't know why they. But I got the record, so you know they better give me an answer when I want to take the time out and follow this up. But
you know, this just shows so much. There's so much. in the history of these women.
Mhm.
This unit, it's just unbelievably remarkable, and that we just had no idea. That we
Mhm.
just had no idea that they existed, you know, and the impact and the contributions that they made to, but you know, that's what they've always done to us, right? We had to, you know, I had to learn all my history. I didn't learn none of this in school, you know. I had to, you know, I had to go to the black bookstore, you know. I mean, any of this, and this is just another example of what has been hidden. And I like, you know, the reference to hidden figures, because that, you know, it's all hidden. But the problem, issue is when we discover it, oh no, everybody gonna know, and it's just been, every time I love seeing, I can't get enough of it. I literally can't get enough of it. You know, seeing the clips, talking to the people, the anticipation building to the building up to the gold medal ceremony, the movie, like you were saying, I saw it in the theater. I was like two people in the theater, right? Two people in the theater, and you know, the guy sitting behind me, you know, when the movie was up, I said, "That's my mama." You know, I mean, you know, and looking for a name, and I did cry. I cried. I couldn't move for 15 minutes. I literally couldn't move. I mean, I couldn't move. But it wasn't just. It was all of their stories, and our mother just happened to be one of them. And the work that all the families are doing to keep their memory. The number one, the recognition, but to keep them front and center. I think is just remarkable. Jerry, you want to say something?
Well, you brought me back to the movie where I think everybody remembers when the women were in the truck, and then the truck had the explosion, and they died, which was really a fabrication, because they did have 3 women who actually died over there. And if I can share my screen, I'll show you that when we were over there, we actually went to the Normandy Cemetery, and we actually poured a libation for PFC Mary Bankston, PFC Mary Bartlow, and Sergeant Dolores Brown. And there are the only 3 women who are buried over there in the Normandy Cemetery that were from the 688.
Wow. Are you at all? I know this is crazy, but at any other time, I wouldn't even say this, but this thing, he's putting DIA designations on anything, everything, anything. I mean, you know, you sir, it's absurd, but the most absurd is the military, right? I mean, that's, are you concerned about that at all? I know I saw some of the emails and the links we have, because we're like, you know, we have this 100 and whatever plus. Has that rolled through your mind? Any James, Jerry, Kathy, Rosinda? What have you thought about that?
Well, my sister, again, she's a historian from the family, and in the binders I put together and we both put together, there's 2 significant letters that our mother typed up of the testimony of 2 of her fellow women that were on furlough, and they were on the bus. Was it in Alabama, I think? But in any case, the written documentation when they were sitting in the back of the bus where they were supposed to be, and they had a white police come in, took them off the bus, beat them up, brought them to the jail, threw their clothes, their things, you know, at them, and then they were asked, why were they there? They didn't know why they're there. And I won't quote it, but you can imagine one of them said, just because you're in a uniform, don't think you're anything less than a nigger down here in the South. And it's documented. Got the letters right here. Actual letters. And that every time I read that, that's where the emotion comes up. She has them. 2.
Roberta McKenzie and Gladys Blackman.
Mother's friends here in the States. And that's part of the reason why my mother said she would never ever go back to Alabama after.
But Camp Seipert is where she had to go before being shipped out. Camp Seipert, Sibert.
This
What,
ceremony.
what's
Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
what's significant for me about whatever 47 does and the executive orders and whatever Congress does, it's important that we our folks, our young people and everyone remember our history.
Yes.
Remember that we have to understand why they doing what they doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have to understand that we've always gone through this. This is nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
Tenacity, our determination, our resiliency, our faith, and our love, that's going to see us through. But if we don't tell those stories, that's when they say history has a chance to repeat itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's incumbent on all of us to make sure we keep telling these stories. I teach classes and I tell all my students, we do a whole griot project. You got to interview every one of your grandmothers, great grandmothers. You get those stories and you tell those stories, because those are the things that gives us the resiliency to withstand.
It's just that this ceremony is coming up. I had hoped that it's a congressional ceremony, and I believe Speaker of the House is going to be the presenter, right? I think, isn't he?
Right.
We had all hoped it was going to be Hakeem Jeffries, I'm sure.
Well, maybe that might be our slogan, our cry.
but it's not, right? And so, I
is an interesting thing I wanted to bring up, that the Black male soldiers were stuck here for 3 years. My father was in Texas, and they didn't allow the Black men to go over until 1944, I believe. And I have a box here, about 100 letters. The mail came through to us, from my father to my mother, and I still haven't finished reading them yet. About 100 letters still sitting here. And so they were the only ones that actually had mail at that time. That the white soldiers did not have their mail abroad, which is behind the 6888. But the Black soldiers were able to communicate while they were still here. I think was I can't think of the name of where he was offhand. But anyhow, I was interviewed here by the local press, the Queens Chronicle, and also the Metro Airport News newspaper. And
this is a picture of some of the letters that she said from my father.
There's 22 of them. Yeah, 22. 11 of them have a censor, because 1944, when the men finally went over, they were not allowed to reveal where they were going to be located for security purposes, apparently. And all those that Kathy just showed, they look like postcards. So nothing was sealed in an envelope. And they have a circle in the upper left corner saying censor. So whoever was in the Army, they had to censor everybody's mail going out during that time period. So 22 of them we have here. And I had quite a bit of memorabilia, as a matter of fact. There was a couple from Connecticut. They were hoping to open up this type of museum for African Americans in World War II. And I sent them a box of material and one of our 2 flags, patches and medals. And come to find out that the woman died. Jorgensen was her name. Okay. And it was a mixed couple. And she went first, and I think he went a year after. I never found out whatever happened to the information, all the data that we sent. And I understand the person, I was trying to follow up recently, and I got a phone call from the gentleman who bought the property. He said he took the liberty of making a call to me inquiring about what happened. And I said, well, I sent all this stuff for the museum that was supposed to open up in Connecticut, in Hartford, I believe. And their problem was trying to find a venue to display all this memorabilia for the African American Museum. And they died. And he said when he got through with the closing to go to the house, the whole basement was emptied out, which had boxes and boxes and boxes of things sent from all over the United States for this museum. We don't know whatever happened to this material.
It may.
But the Amsterdam News in New York City wrote March 20th, 1943, about my mother entering into the wax, and the names of 2 other women from the state of New York, And then afterwards, they came back in November 1945 doing a report on New York WAC weds a soldier in Rouen.
The first.
So
See, what I'm thinking here, it may be, and this is me, this is just me. It may be that in this moment in time, when there is a push to erase, that's the
Wipe
word.
us out.
Erase us from history. That this symbol of resistance, this symbol of everything that, you know, Black folks have done, right? Because I mean, this is one story in a million stories, right? But maybe one that will be the one that we can use now to push back. I mean, now. Because I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to show up there, like the next day, say this is DI. No.
That's what I was afraid
It
of.
may be the 688 that 100 and so, almost 100 years later, someone's like, yeah, now, yeah, this foolishness is, you know, and we, you know, look, no, and no, and no, and no, and no. I don't know. I just know the way, the passion that we feel about this and the movie and all of that, and the actors and the actresses and all the people may be the one that can stand now in this moment, you know, just as they stood in that, and this is me, I'm being crazy with it, right? As they stood in that moment in the European theater will be one to stand in this moment as a shining example of no. You know, and you know, this ceremony is coming up, and I just got this feeling that you saw it in emails, or they're gonna try, you know, take this out, and they're gonna do this. And you know, maybe these women working through us all this time later can stand up and say, no, you're not eliminating us from history. Because I wrote this crazy, and I don't do a lot of this crazy stuff on social media, but I wrote this down. I said, I hope people get what Trump in this case is trying to do here. Is trying to paint a picture of an America that never was. Not from day one. The reason you've had any progress in this country is by knowing the truth about injustice, right? The truth has fooled the changes and the progress. The truth keeps you from going backwards, right? Because you know what it was like before. And then I wrote, he's out of his damn mind. Okay. Then I said, my ancestors died for this truth. Ain't no going back. Ain't no going back. And you know, as we finally get our congressional gold medals, we're not gonna let him taint this. I'm not. You know, but and so all of you that are going, then who's going? I'm not going. I know who. James, you're going. I know. You're going. Y'all blow that place up. I don't mean literally.
Over our dead bodies, right?
Careful wording now.
because unlike them, we ain't getting pardoned. So
that's for sure.
Our face don't look the same, right?
That's for sure.
It's such a day of celebration. It's such a day of celebration for all of us. You know, all of us. A memory, and those women were just extraordinary. The achievement was unbelievable. Like I said, and everybody needs to see it. And we're going to show it to our young people and let them know this is what. And let me tell you, I love Black women. Okay, I will stay. Look, and everybody know I ain't playing. Don't mess with my sisters. Do not mess with my women. Look, Pookie. Okay, but y'all don't mess with the sisters. I can't stand. They know me. I don't do it. I don't play that. If I see somebody on the street messing with a Black woman, I ain't with. Do not mess with these women. Okay, and they, because what they're just, you know, we Black women have been everything to us, and so no. So have a great time. Do your thing. Don't let them take this. Don't let them move you that day. Don't let them do nothing. Wow. I just got any last words from anybody, because this is just.
And Dr. all due respect, I do want to say you said 1 in a million, because what they had caused me to do is not only find out stuff about the 688, but in my research, I started learning about all the stuff that Black men had also done in World War II. Now, everybody knows about the Tuskegee Airmen, but I'm always out there preaching about the Triple Nickels, the 325th Balloon Battalion, the Red Ball Express was 75% Black, the 61st and the 761. The Black Panthers, as they're known. The 784th, and their tank battalion. The 614th tank destroyers, and of course, you know, the ones that integrated the Montfort Marines, right? So there's so much of our story out there. So you're right. It's just one in the middle. It's the tip of the iceberg, and we're not going to let them dishonor our military folks.
That's right.
But one quick reference. After the war, our father went to the post office. And interestingly enough, after the war, to get a job in the post office was, for Blacks, that was getting a good job. It sets you in a place where you can live, quote unquote, the American dream, because of what the women did to completely revamp the whole system to a point where they just blew everyone's mind. And that's what my father worked for 38 years. He worked in the post office. And our uncle was also in the service. He was in the post office. And when our neighbors across the street, Mr. Names, all of them worked in the post office, all quote unquote, middle class at that point. But that was a job to have that gave you respect and gave you opportunities to do things for your families. And that's how we grew up.
Any
And
last words
GI
from
Bill.
everybody? Rosenda, everybody got last words before we go. I got about 5 minutes here, so any last words?
I like to say
Thank you.
that what we're doing is keeping our parents alive.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing something somewhere. We're all doing it together.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know
Just like
here
they did. Just like they did.
in California, it's gonna be, I'm gonna be doing my work up and down, the state and into the plain states. But I will keep. This is all my dedication is till I'm called home. Will be honoring these women. And Jerry also honored the men, but these women are one of a kind. It's here. It's gone, but we're going to keep it alive. You'll never have anything like this again.
Leslie, anything you want to add?
I was, but he kind of took the words out of my mouth. I just hope that the Congressional Gold Medal, I hope that is not our last time getting together in the way that we will, and that the work continues, because I know that our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts would want us to carry on the stories, and we'll have to come together as a collective to figure out what's next. Maybe create our own movie.
Civil rights.
There you go.
To create our own movie.
Do our own movie.
I always say it's a marathon relay race for freedom, justice, and equality. And the only reason the race stops is somebody drops the baton. So pick up the baton and keep moving.
Right.
Tara, I said it right. Any last words?
I just want to say thank you so much for giving us all the opportunity to talk about our mothers, our grandmothers, and other women in our lives who were important in this movement. And I'm just very happy that they're finally getting that recognition. And I look forward to seeing all of y'all in DC.
Oh, wow. All right. Rosenda.
Can I say one quick thing?
Oh, go ahead.
I have a younger sister she's 15. You guys can figure out the math, what have you. But she was so excited to get this invitation to the Congressional Gold Medal honor. Because she didn't know her grandmother. In fact, that was the year that she was born, when my grandmother passed. So for the youth, she will be there. And I think it's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
One lady at 15 years old. So
Rosenda, any last?
I'll just repeat what Elizabeth Helm Fraser keeps telling me when she has information to text me or email. She just says to keep telling their story. Keep on doing it. And James, I'm really, really pleased I got to meet you recently. Like, I'm carrying on this journey where my sister left off when she passed away, and I don't know where it's going to take me, but I really appreciate seeing all the information about your mother, and I look forward to collaborating with you on, like you said, you wanted to do an exhibit, featuring some information about my mother, and that would be great.
Perfect.
And Joseph, thanks for inviting me to, say a little about my mother. I appreciate it.
688.
Yes.
Kathy, any last words?
This is the new civil rights movement.
Yeah.
Think of it. It's the new civil rights.
Yeah,
A
we
whole
have to
new-
keep this alive because
Yeah.
a lot of professors could lose their jobs the way things are with African American Histories Department. And
Oh,
yes, that's a biggie. That's a biggie. They could lose their positions in the universities who want to go in compliance with the executive orders. I said, no, because these universities depend upon federal funds. So we have to say big resounding no. You're not changing critical race theory, or how can fact be theory?
You can't change the truth. The truth is the truth.
Exactly.
I don't care what your name is. When they ask me, do you teach? I teach the truth. That's all I do.
Mhm.
And then I ask people, is it true? Yeah, it's true. Well, then shut the hell up. I'm sorry. Okay, lady. Keep going.
What's
All
that
right.
movie? You can't take the truth. That's why.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
That's right. You can't handle the truth. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
my time on.
Thank
And
you.
you people, East Coast people, you stayed the whole time. All right.
No, the night has just begun.
Have a great time at the ceremony, okay? Representative.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
It's been great.